All right, this morning we are talking about the sale or lease of buyer's property contingency. This is an exhibit that you're going to use when your client has to sell their house before they buy their new one. Okay, and it's a kind of a little tricky form. It's fairly straightforward, but there's a lot packed into a very small amount of space. So it starts out with our exhibit letter up here. The exhibit is part of the agreement with an offer date of whatever date we're making our offer, and for the property that we are buying. Okay, this is how we connect all of our exhibits to our purchase and sale agreement. Then here in paragraph A, buyer warrants that buyer owns the real property at address, city, state, and zip. That is the property that they have to sell before they buy the new property. Okay, pretty simple so far. The next part, and has taken or is taking the following actions to sell or lease the other property. This is your opportunity as the buyer's agent to sell the listing agent on why should I accept your offer. Okay, so what you put in here is going to indicate to them what's the likelihood of your property getting sold. And I want you to think of this in terms of tiers. There's different levels of strength. So at the very bottom, the weakest offer that you could make would be to put in here, property will be listed in Georgia MLS and FMLS on November 1st for $215,000. Okay. So a couple of things that are really important about that. So that's going to be an action that you're going to take, but you're telling them, I need to sell my house before I buy yours, but I don't even have my property listed yet. Okay. So putting that price in there for what it's going to be listed at is really important, because the fact that it's not listed yet, they need to know what's the likelihood that property is going to sell. And if you're going to be listing it at top of the market, there may be challenges with you getting your property sold. So I don't necessarily want to take my property off the market and enter into a contract with you when my sales dependent on you selling your overpriced property. Okay, so I haven't listed it yet, but I'm going to list it on this date. That's our bottom line. A little bit better than that is property is currently listed for sale on Georgia MLS and FMLS for this price. Okay, that's a little bit better of a description. A little bit better than that. Property is currently under contract and is scheduled to close on this date. Okay, so I need to sell my house before I buy yours, but I'm already under contract. Okay, and we have a scheduled close date of this date. That's better. Okay, probably the best thing that you can put in there, if I have to sell my house before I buy yours, property is currently under contract through due diligence and is scheduled to close on this date. Okay, since most contracts that do terminate during due diligence, letting them know that you've already made it through that segment just makes your offer that much stronger. Okay, so when we're competing against cash, when we're competing against offers that don't have to sell the property, we really want our exhibit to showcase just how likely it is we're going to make it to the closing table. All right. Paragraph B, this agreement is contingent upon the occurrence of the following on or before. Okay. And we're going to pick either it's contingent on us selling the property or it's contingent on us leasing the property. 95% of the time, it's going to be option number one. Okay. And we put the date in here of our proposed closing date on our offer. Okay. So we're looking to close December 15th on this purchase. Okay. Well, this agreement is contingent upon me selling my house on or before December 15th. So both closings would take place on the same day. All right. Then in paragraph C, in the event that the contingency period ends without the above being fulfilled, the agreement terminates. Okay, this is not a notice, it's not an option to go on. Bam, immediately, if we get to that date and we have not taken any action, done any amendment, extended the kickout, or extended the contingency, this contract terminates. Okay, we no longer have a contract automatically. Okay, so don't let this date come and go if things get pushed out. Okay, without an amendment that changes the date of that contingency. And then we have our kickout clause. Okay, and this paragraph here describes what a kickout clause is, and then it tells you whether we don't have a kickout clause or which kickout we have. So what this paragraph up here explains to you is that if there is a kickout clause, the seller of the home can continue to market the home. They're marketing it under contract with a kickout. You'll see those in Georgia MLS and MLS as CK, contingent with kickout. But I can continue to market the property. If I get an offer that I like better, I can give notice to the buyer that I'm under contract with that we have a better offer, and they have a certain amount of time to agree to remove all of their contingencies or specific contingencies. And if they don't do that, the seller can terminate the contract and go under contract with the other prospective buyer. Okay, so as a buyer, we don't want to kick out. Okay, as a buyer, I don't want you to continue marketing your property for sale and entertaining other offers. Okay, I also don't want you coming to me saying, you no longer, if you want to buy my house, you can no longer have a due diligence, you can no longer have a financing contingency, you can no longer have it dependent on whether or not you sell your house. Okay, I don't want a kickout clause. But for a seller who is taking a chance on a contract that's dependent on you selling your other property, they may want to kick out. So there's always going to be negotiation back and forth. And so if there is a kick out, we're going to fill out option number 1 right here. This says this agreement is subject to a kick out. And in the event the seller receives a legitimate offer to purchase the property that they would like to accept. So when we talk about a better offer, better does not always mean a higher price. Okay, it could be a faster closing, it could be a different type of financing, it could be the fact that it doesn't have a kick out. Okay, they just want to accept that other offer. So if they receive one of those offers, then the seller shall give notice of the offer to the buyer. Buyer shall then have blank number of hours after receipt of the notice to add additional earnest money to deposit it, and deliver an amendment removing the following contingencies. Okay, so typical responses is you'll have 48 hours and we'll want another $2,000 of earnest money, $4,000 in earnest money. Really, the earnest money amount can vary greatly in what they expect. But the reason that extra earnest money is so important is you want to know that that buyer is committed regardless of the contingencies. And if there's only $1,000 of earnest money or $2,000 in earnest money in the contract, that buyer may be willing to put that money at risk and hope everything works out. So the seller doesn't want the buyer moving forward just on hope. They want them to feel really confident. So they want that earnest money now to reflect how sure they are this deal is going to work out, and to be liquidated damages for them if they stick with this contract and don't terminate it and go with this other better contract. So we're then going to specify if the kickout clause is in place, they give notice, we put the additional earnest money, and we remove all contingencies, and the due diligence period shall no longer be part of the agreement. That means instantly there is no way for the buyer to get their earnest money back unless the seller is in default. There's no due diligence. There's no financing contingency. There's no appraisal contingency. There's no contingent on sale or lease of the property. Or we're going to choose specific contingencies that exist. Okay. Is the due diligence going away? Well, we would mark due diligence. Is the sale or lease of buyer's property contingency going away? We would mark that box. The financing contingency, appraisal contingency, you have the option to pick and choose and break apart which contingencies are going to be removed in the event they want to take this other offer. But it's always the buyer's choice. If they don't want to make the additional earnest money deposit, then they give the seller the option to terminate the contract. And if the seller exercises that, the buyer does get their earnest money back. So, and then both parties are going to initial, buyer and seller. And that is the complete form. Hope that was helpful. If you've got more questions about it, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye.